We're going to start with a shoulder preparation phase to initially warm up the joint and the main muscle supporting the shoulder. So you're going to take the band, you're going to put it around your wrist, elbows bent at a 90-degree angle to focus into the rotator cuff, shoulder blades slightly back, and you're going to oscillate that band back and forth. You're going to do 30 seconds straight with a relatively light band. Again, we're just trying to warm up the joint. After 30 seconds of that, you're going to go into a banded front raise. Band in the same position, press outward, raise all the way up overhead while continuing to press the band outward. We're going to do 10 of these. The focus is slow and smooth. You want to make sure to get as far up overhead as you can, and make sure you don't sacrifice trunk position. As you go up overhead, you want to drive the arms back, but you want to avoid arching back or flaring the rib cage. So a little bit of tension in the abs will help with that. And then in a controlled motion, you're going to drive back overhead to really maintain that overhead position. You'll do 10 of those, and then you're going to go into straightest push-ups for 15 repetitions. No movement from the elbows because we want to isolate the shoulder blades. We're going to let them pinch together as we drop down and press apart as we drive up. We'll do 2 times through that, and that's going to be the shoulder preparation phase of the daily shoulder plan. The next phase is dynamic weighted ball work that we're going to do in the standing position. So we're going to start with the arms straight out front, elbow extended. You're going to make medium-sized circles, and you're going to go 15 in one direction, 15 in the other direction. Again, that's arm out front to start, 15 and 15. We'll go out to the side and repeat the same process, 15 forward, 15 backward. We're then going to go to a scarecrow position, which requires elbow at shoulder height in line here, and we're going to externally, internally rotate back and forth, going through the full range of motion. After we do 15 of those, we're going to really hone in on the end range position. So we're going to get that same setup, but we're only going to drop back into that back position. You should feel a little tension as you go back, but no pain for 15 repetitions there. Then you're going to go into what's called scaption. So we're looking at an angle in your shoulder, not directly out front, but out here at a 45-degree angle off. And you're going to do scaption internal and external rotation. I'll show you a side view too. This is going to be more similar to that serve and follow through position. So we want to get into scaption. And then we're going to give 15 of these at the bottom of the range so we can really control the deceleration of the shoulder as the arm comes through on the serve. And then we're going to move to dynamic weighted ball work in a chest to ground position. I like supported, but you can also do an unsupported position. But what you're going to do is you're going to take this ball, you're going to hold it out to the side, you're going to go 15 circles one direction, 15 circles the other direction. You'll bend that elbow, making sure the elbow is at shoulder height. We're going to do full range for 15 repetitions. And then we're going to do end range oscillation for 15 repetitions. After that, you're going to go into that scaption position. So not all the way overhead, but not at the side, kind of in between. And you're going to go 15 repetitions there. And you're going to do 15 repetitions in the end range oscillation, making sure to avoid that shoulder pinch. And we'll do 15 here. The next portion we're going to focus on is dynamic weighted ball in a chest to sky position. So typically laying on the edge of something, whether it's a bench, a couch, a bed, will be your best option for this. And again, we're going to start here. The palm is going to be facing toward the ceiling. And we're going to start with 15 circles one direction and 15 circles the other direction. From there, we're going to go into that scarecrow position. We're going to go full range of motion scarecrows to start with 15 repetitions. And then we're going to go end range scarecrows for 15 repetitions to really work at that top of the overhead position. We're going to then migrate up to that scaption position, which again is a little bit above that angle, not all the way overhead, but right in between. And we're going to do 15 repetitions there. And then we're going to go into our end range internal rotation, which is tough in this position, and we're going to go here. So again, we want to make sure we're avoiding the pinch position but really teaching our shoulder to stabilize as it drops into internal rotation. From there, we're going to go overhead, and we're going to find that end range overhead position. We're going to make sure that the rib cage is pulled down, the low back is driving into whatever surface we're laying on, and we're just going to bob back there. Again, we're just looking to find control at that end range position and emphasize it with 15 repetitions. Again, you want to avoid any pinching, pulling, or discomfort in the shoulder. This portion, we're going to do a plyometric deceleration focus, where we're tossing ourselves the ball. We're going to start out front at shoulder height. And again, the goal here is to create some speed in the arm, decelerate the ball by catching right where you're at. We're going to go from shoulder height to waist height. And we're just working, dissipating the force in a slightly different position. And then we're going to drop down to the waist. So that'll be 10 at shoulder height, 10 between waist and shoulder, and 10 down at the waist. We're going to do that with a cuff bias. So now we're going to do this with the elbow bent. Again, the focus is grabbing, moving the hand quick, and decelerating that weight by maintaining the elbow bend to bias the rotator cuff and having elbow at shoulder height. We're going to do one for the elbow joint. We're going to bias the bicep by grabbing, this time with the elbow bent instead of straight out front. Working on decelerating elbow extension. Our last piece is plyometrics with an acceleration focus. So instead of grabbing to slow it down, we're just working on speeding our arm up. So the first thing we're going to do is work on speeding up the elbow joint and the tricep. Obviously, you're going to need a ground you can throw against here, but we're just working on waking up the speed of that tricep. We're going to then come to a straight arm throw down. So again, elbow is going to be straight. We're throwing here. Work on accelerating the shoulder joint. We're going to then go to an internal rotation accelerator. Elbow at shoulder height. We're here. We're going to do an external rotation focus, ball to sky, where we just flip it up, which just kind of gets you one angle at the shoulder. And then we're going to do throws behind us, either somewhere you have space, into a wall, or to someone catching. We're going to get the elbow at shoulder height. You can do this in kneeling or standing, and you're going to flip backwards. It's that. Working on accelerating the shoulder backwards.